I didn't really think about any of this before.
That's probably good.
Yeah. There's a kind of magic in it, isn't there? Making something new. Yeah, how did it all start?
Take a walk with me, only if there's nowhere you have to be.
I was thinking, how can I make it that my hobby becomes my main source of income? Probably took like 5 or 6 years of gradually shaving off working, and then just found myself with maybe 5 or 6 different strands of work, but they're all music related. I'd long ago dropped all the dreams of being in Bon Jovi or something. I really love picking up phrases, turns of phrase, because often like just a sentence, half a sentence will start off a song for me, or a poem. Yeah, but it's not something, that doesn't happen at 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. That's whenever. I mean, sometimes you can feel it coming, and you just have to run and find a guitar or a notepad and a pen or something, and be there for it and respond to it. Yeah, but then at other times when it's your work, you do have to. You have to try and force it. Perhaps force it is the wrong word, but you have to. Right, here's the parameters. Here's what somebody wants. Let's try and get the creative juices flowing. The intimidation of a blank page. You could go anywhere. So sometimes that's harder, even though you have more freedom. Sometimes I really like it when somebody gives you a framework. Yeah, you have to let go in a way, you're not so precious about it. And it's like, well, if it was up to me, I perhaps wouldn't have put that in. It's a little bit, but then it's easy. Just I don't know if that's making sense. I was listening to an interesting podcast recently, and somebody was making this really good distinction about when you are in the creative process. Some people are focused on what the product is going to be, and that's in mind, and it drives everything you're doing in the process. But then other people are more focused on the process and the feeling of it, and they don't really have a clear idea of what the final product will be. The other artists that I've always really admired never seem to kind of pander to that, so they will do creatively what they find exciting at the expense of having mass appeal. But then that's not going to pay the bills most of the time. If you're just very lucky if people don't like it, or as much people don't like it as like it, or perhaps some people love it but a lot of people hate it. That's probably a good thing. And so some records that I've made have just been true to the process and what I've enjoyed doing. But there's probably a lot of stubbornness involved in that. There's projects where I've been the one making all the decisions, probably would have been a better, or at least commercially more successful thing if I'd have let other people make decisions about how it was made as well. But it's a very vulnerable position to, say, play something new live in front of people. I mean, it's great if you can have some confidence in what you think you're making is good, but it's still always vulnerable to put it out there. But then, on the other hand, there is that notion that when you make something like that, when you make a song, when you've recorded it and you've released it, it's not really yours anymore. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's like your ownership has ended of it because you've made it and made it accessible to other people. So to a big extent, yeah, it's not to do with you anymore. It's become its own thing. I mean, the cool thing would be to say, no, I don't care. I just make it. There must be some part of me that wants people to like what I've done. If a lot of people say they like a certain song, then you'd be like, wow, something about that obviously worked and chimed with people. Do I try and recreate that? But then there's always the danger of recreating the same thing over and over again, which you see a lot of people doing. Come off Facebook and Instagram. There's a conscious decision to step back from that. Comparison is the thief of joy. I think that's the quote. Maybe somebody else who's also a singer-songwriter. I don't know, they've got a gig at this place. Maybe I should try and get a gig at that place. Yeah, they've released another EP. I should probably think about releasing another EP. Oh, they've got a new photo. I need to get in touch with Russell, get some more professional photos done. And the reality is, you know, they have the same struggles and insecurities as you do because they're just a person. At least Bandcamp, the artist can gain a good proportion of revenue from it, but Spotify, like social media, it's incredibly good and incredibly bad. Spotify is amazing for the listener. I'm a listener. I subscribe to it. As a music maker, it's pitiful the amount of money you make from people streaming your music. But how on earth are you meant to make any money from the thing that you've spent so much time and energy making?
Don't do it.
What would I say to an aspiring musician? I feel like I would say, do it because you love it. I simply don't think you can do it at this point in time without having a huge investment behind you. Been trying to do the singer-songwriter original material, but also doing the cover stuff. And some people do not like to mix them. For most people, you will have to diversify. That's probably the big takeaway, but if somebody wanted to work in music, you're going to have to play Ed Sheeran covers to drunk people in order that you can go and play at that folk festival and sell CDs of your own music. Yeah, good question. What I'm doing now is I am taking a year to try and change my creative practice from live performance predominantly, which is what it was, to text-based stuff on the page. I'm kind of studying how to read and write poetry and short fiction and looking into writing dialogue. I don't think I'm more of the end product fixated. There's a kind of magic in it, isn't there, making something new. So in turn you're like, oh, if I could ever do that and somebody could look at a piece of work I've made and it make these feelings and it's like somebody else, then brilliant. Yeah, I'd like to have work published, have poems published, writing published. You want to make something and have somebody respond in the same way that you have responded to something that you love or has had an impact on you. So you can spend hundreds of hours and so much emotional energy making something, and yeah, it can be disheartening if you feel like it's not landing with anyone. But then if you hear back from that one person that says, oh, I can't stop listening to this track, it's like, oh, this song made me cry, it feels so valuable to have, just even if it's just a handful of people that genuinely respond to and love what you do. It makes it worthwhile. Yeah.